The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as the rematch between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach Jr. approaches, set for August 16, 2025, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Their first encounter ended in a controversial draw, a result that left fans, analysts, and even the fighters themselves hungry for resolution. The debate over who truly won that night has fueled a narrative that this rematch is not just a fight but a defining moment for both men. Davis, the bigger name with a reputation for devastating knockouts, now faces questions about his invincibility. Roach, the underdog who defied expectations, believes he's ready to topple a giant. This clash is personal, tactical, and carries the weight of proving who belongs at the top. The first fight was a spectacle that caught many off guard. Davis, entering as a heavy favorite with odds at -1,600, was expected to steamroll Roach, who had moved up from 130 pounds. The boxing community anticipated another highlight reel knockout for Tank, whose power has dismantled opponents like Leo Santa Cruz and Ryan Garcia. Instead, Roach stood his ground, going toe-to-toe with Davis for 12 rounds in a fight that was as close as it was intense. Some scored it for Roach, others for Davis, and a few agreed with the official draw. The scorecards didn't tell the whole story, though. Roach's performance shifted perceptions, chipping away at Davis's aura of untouchability. For the first time, Tank looked human, and the boxing world took notice. Roach's camp has been vocal about their confidence heading into the rematch. Lamont Roach Jr., backed by his father and trainer, Lamont Roach Sr., insists they've cracked the code on Davis. They've seen him up close for 10 rounds, felt his power, and studied his tendencies. Roach Sr. has emphasized that their preparation isn't about hoping for Davis to slip up, but about executing a plan to dominate. The younger Roach has spoken about needing to be meaner and more physical this time around. He's not looking to outpoint Davis or survive, he wants to impose his will. This shift in mindset comes from a place of certainty, not desperation. Roach believes he's already shown he can hang with the best, and now it's about finishing the job. The first fight wasn't just a test of skill but a clash of familiarity. Davis and Roach have known each other since childhood, having crossed paths in the amateur ranks. Davis won their amateur bouts, but Roach insists those days are irrelevant. "This is a different stage, a different level," he said in a recent interview. The professional ring, with its higher stakes and bigger spotlight, is where Roach believes he's caught up to, and surpassed, his old rival. Their shared history adds a layer of intensity to the rematch. There's no mystery between them, no need to feel each other out. Both know what the other brings, and that familiarity makes the fight both dangerous and compelling. Davis, for his part, has been quieter but no less determined. The draw stung him, not just because it marred his perfect record, but because it came with a $250,000 bet he lost after failing to knock out Roach as predicted. Post-fight, Davis offered explanations. Grease from his braids irritated his eyes, and he miscounted the rounds, thinking he was in round 8 when he took a controversial knee in the later stages. That moment, which many believe should have been ruled a knockdown, sparked outrage among fans and analysts. The New York State Athletic Commission's failure to review the incident due to a replay malfunction only added fuel to the controversy. Davis's excuses didn't sit well with the boxing community, who felt a fighter of his caliber should have been better prepared. The backlash has put Davis in an unfamiliar position. Known for his confidence and showmanship, he's now under pressure to prove he's still the dominant force he's been billed as. Voices like Terrence Crawford, Clarissa Shields, and Sean Porter praised Roach's performance, with some suggesting Davis looked flat and off his game. The consensus was that Roach did enough to win, or at least deserved more credit than the scorecards reflected. Even WBA President Gilberto Mendoza has called for a rematch, stressing the need for a decisive outcome. For Davis, this fight is about reclaiming control of the narrative. He's unbeaten on paper, but the draw did more damage to his reputation than any loss could have. Roach's preparation for the rematch has been intense and focused. His camp is doubling down on conditioning, fight IQ, and aggression. Roach knows he can't afford to give Davis space to set up his devastating counters. In the first fight, he landed clean shots and took Davis to places few opponents have, surviving exchanges that would have felled lesser fighters. Now, he's working on applying constant pressure, forcing Davis to react rather than dictate the pace. It's a subtle but critical adjustment. Roach isn't banking on Davis making mistakes. He's training to create openings through relentless physicality. His father has echoed this approach, saying they're not just ready for Davis but ahead of him strategically. Davis's camp, meanwhile, is shrouded in speculation. Rumors of changes in his training team and tensions with his coaches have circulated, though nothing has been confirmed. Some point to his switch to Barry Hunter as head trainer, with Calvin Ford taking a back seat, as a potential factor in his lackluster performance. Others believe age and wear are catching up to the 30-year-old, whose legs didn't look as spry as they once did. Davis has dismissed these claims, insisting he's still in his prime. His focus in training appears to be on tightening his defense and refining his timing, areas where Roach exploited gaps in the first fight. Whether these adjustments translate into a sharper performance remains to be seen, but Davis knows the stakes are higher than ever. The boxing community is split on who has the edge. Some, like Anthony Yarde, lean toward Roach, citing his unexpected resilience and ability to perform under pressure. Yarde, who has sparred with Roach, knew he'd be a tough matchup for Davis. "I knew his style would give Tank problems," Yarde said, referencing their sessions ahead of his own fight against Oscar Valdez. Others, like Roy Jones Jr., believe Davis will come back stronger, motivated by the criticism and determined to reassert his dominance. Jones predicts a more focused Tank, one who won't underestimate his opponent again. Still, he acknowledges Roach's ability to shock the world once more. Eddie Hearn, the Matchroom boxing promoter, has called the rematch a tougher fight for Davis than many realize. "Roach is a serious fighter," Hearn told Fight Hub TV. "It's not the biggest profile fight, but it's a real challenge." He suggested the first fight might serve as a wake-up call for Davis, pushing him to return to the mindset that made him a star. Hearn's comments reflect a broader sentiment. This rematch is about more than belts or records. It's about pride, redemption, and settling a score that the first fight left unresolved. Roach's confidence stems from his performance in the first fight, which he believes he won. In an appearance on the It Is What It Is podcast, he pushed back against claims that Davis had an off night. "He was on his A game," Roach said. "Just because he didn't dominate doesn't mean he fought bad. He's a good fighter." Roach's respect for Davis is clear, but so is his belief that he can beat him. The $250,000 bet they shook on before the first fight, which Davis paid up after failing to deliver the knockout, adds a personal edge. Roach's words carry weight because they're grounded in experience, not hype. He's been in the ring with Davis, felt his power, and walked away standing. The rematch is also a test of mental fortitude. Davis has always thrived on being the hunter, the fighter who intimidates and overwhelms. But Roach flipped that dynamic, refusing to crumble under pressure and matching Davis shot for shot. Now, Davis must contend with an opponent who isn't just unafraid but emboldened. Roach's camp has leaned into this psychological advantage, with Roach Sr. stating they're training for a better version of Davis. They're not resting on the draw or public sympathy. They're preparing to face a hungry, motivated Tank. For Davis, the rematch is a chance to silence doubters. The narrative that he's overrated, which gained traction online after the draw, has clearly gotten under his skin. His usually brash demeanor has given way to a more serious tone in recent interviews. He's not treating this as a tune-up or a formality. The first fight exposed vulnerabilities, and Davis knows another lackluster performance could do lasting damage to his legacy. He's spoken about wanting the rematch immediately, a sign that he's eager to correct the mistakes of that night. The controversy over the knee incident looms large. Many believe it should have been scored as a knockdown, which could have tipped the scorecards in Roach's favor. The New York Commission's mishandling of the moment has led to calls for tighter oversight in the rematch. Both fighters have an interest in ensuring a clean, decisive result. Another ambiguous outcome would frustrate fans and leave the rivalry unresolved. The pressure is on the officials as much as the fighters to deliver a fair fight. As the date approaches, both men are deep in preparation. Roach is honing his explosiveness, studying film, and sparring with partners who mimic Davis's style. His camp is leaving nothing to chance, focusing on stamina and sharpness to maintain pressure over 12 rounds. Davis, known for his power, is likely working on movement and defense to avoid getting caught by Roach's clean counters. The first fight was a chess match, and the rematch promises to be even more strategic. Every exchange will matter in a matchup this close. The betting lines reflect the shifted perception. While Davis is still the favorite, the odds are tighter than before. Roach's performance earned him respect, and some analysts give him a real shot at the upset. The public's fascination with this fight lies in its unpredictability. Davis has the edge in experience and star power, but Roach has momentum and belief. The rematch isn't just about who's better on paper, it's about who shows up ready to leave it all in the ring. This fight carries implications beyond the result. For Davis, a convincing win would restore his aura and set up bigger fights, like a potential clash with Shakur Stevenson. A loss, or even another draw, could stall his momentum and invite more questions about his prime. For Roach, a victory would be a career-defining moment, vaulting him into the elite tier and proving he's more than an underdog. Even a strong showing in defeat would cement his status as a top contender. The boxing world is watching closely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Davis and Roach have both said their piece, but words won't decide this one. It's about who can impose their will under the bright lights of Las Vegas. The first fight was a classic. The rematch could be a war. One thing is certain: neither man will back down, and the ring will tell the truth.